An entitled Karen comes into my store that is going out of business, demanding that we give her 50% off an item that she wants, claiming that we're going out of business anyways, so it shouldn't matter if she gets a bit of a discount. And I'm honestly still blown away by this entitled Karen's attitude, and I seriously hope I never deal with her ever again. Here's what happened. Okay, so I work at a big box store that is going out of business. We have signs up all around the store with what is discounted and by how much, and furniture is 10% off, and we just can't change that. Well, a woman walks in who is the entitled Karen of this story and heads directly to the furniture. She looks at a bed and dresser set, and after a few moments walks to the register and skips the line of 4 other people to talk to me. She points at the bed and says, "I want that bed." I look at her and I say, "Well, I can have somebody from furniture help you out, as I do need the tag on it, so let me call one of them to bring it to me." And mind you, I'm still checking people out while she's talking to me. My coworker brings me the tag and explains to the customer that it is a set and that it cannot be split up. This Karen then asks to be checked out, and I explain that she needs to wait in line. So she glares at the line of people and says, "Fine." I then hear her complaining the entire time, all about how she is in a rush while we're taking care of other people's groceries and other odd things. Finally, she gets up to the front and I finally ring up her order. Well, I tell her the price, and she looks at me and says, "I don't want the set, I just want the bed and the headboard only." But again, I explained to her that it is a set and it cannot be split up. But at this point, she then started yelling at me. "Well, you're going out of business, so give it to me 50% off." And when she said that, I honestly was dumbfounded, and I explained that this isn't how it works. I ask her if she wants furniture, then she needs to see if they can find something similar so that it's just the bed and the headboard. Well, she looks at me and says, "No, I looked online and there's nothing close to what I want, so just give me the bed because I'm not leaving without just the bed." I then just radio the furniture section and I tell her, "Well, okay," and then I move over one computer and I call for the next customer. Now the look on that lady's face as she yelled at me for being unprofessional was absolutely great. The furniture section guy walks over and tries to talk to the woman, but she just kept yelling about how she was glad this place was going out of business and that this is why she never shopped here. And after that, she then left in a fit of rage. But fast forward a few hours and things get even better. One of my coworkers walks up to me and shows me a picture of a bed and a headboard that are sitting by themselves in the back that was tagged wrong in the system. It was then that he told me that if she would have just waited, he would have gone, checked, and found it all for her. So it just goes to show you that if you're just a bit kinder, then things might work out in your favor. Oh my gosh, I cannot stand people who act like this because this is so ridiculous. First of all, she cut in front of everybody and is like, "Oh, I need a price check right now. Drop what you're doing and go check on it immediately." And it's like, "Oh, okay, let me ignore the 4 other people that were before you. That's no problem. Let me abandon my register and check this for you, lady. Like, what are we talking about here?" So that for me signals like, oh yeah, this lady sucks and nothing will ever make her happy. But also the fact that she literally was trying to be like, "Oh, you need to give me 50% off because you guys are going out of business." Never mind the fact that the original poster's about to lose their job, but it's like, are you kidding me right now? The average employee cannot just change the price out of nowhere. But the best part about this is that this Karen could have gotten exactly what she wanted if she was just patient and acted a little bit more decently. Like seriously, this is so dumb. She caused all of these problems for literally no reason. So yeah, this Karen was completely out of line, and if she just acted rational and didn't pretend like she was in a rush, then maybe she would have gotten exactly what she wanted. If you like Am I the Jerk, you're probably going to love Am I the Genius. Check it out, link down below in the description. Also, go to amithejerk.com/submit if you would like to submit your own stories. Am I the jerk for letting my friend know that I bought my own Christmas present all because my husband forgot to get mine on time? Because right now he's saying that I made him look bad, and at this point I don't know what to do. Here's what happened. The first year that I was married, my husband asked me what I would like for Christmas. I only had a couple of short winter coats, so I wanted a long one, and I told him I found one online that was about $100, and then I sent him the link. Well, come Christmas Day, I got a couple of small gifts, and I asked if he got me the coat. He said no, as he couldn't find the link that I sent him, so I just said okay, and I bought it myself. It arrived quickly enough that I had it for New Year's Eve, so I wore it out. My friend asked me if it was new, and I said yes. I bought it for my Christmas present. She then asked me why my husband didn't get it for me, and I just looked at him, waiting for him to respond. Now, I didn't think it was my place to answer for him since he was standing there, so I just let him tell her the reason. He then told her a completely different answer of how I just forgot, and she just shook her head at him and laughed a little bit. When she walked away, I asked him, okay, well, was that a lie? Or did he really just forget because he told me that he lost the link? He then got mad and said I put him on the spot, and I told him I didn't think it was my place to answer for him since he was right there. He was then mad at me for the rest of the night. night because he said I made him look bad in front of our friend. He did apologize later, but I'm just wondering, was I the jerk for not just making something up and saving his ego? Because right now, I'm honestly not sure what to do. Okay, personally, in my opinion, I don't think you're the jerk, because in that scenario, he kind of just made himself look bad. Instead of being like, oh yeah, I forgot to get it, haha, let's just kind of brush it under the rug, or at least something of that nature, he decided to lie to her and try to turn it against his wife. Like, that's really weird and there's no reason for that. Like, seriously, it's just not that nice to like blame someone else for his mistake. So no, you're not the jerk here, and I honestly think your husband is absolutely at fault. Am I the jerk for telling my fiance that he shouldn't be giving part of his inheritance to his mom? Because I feel that she is just guilt-tripping her kid, and at this point, I honestly don't know what to do. Here's what happened. So when my fiance's parents first moved in together as husband and wife, they moved into one of my fiance's paternal grandparents' properties, a single detached home in a very high cost of living area. For some reason, my in-laws never put the house in their name. It always stayed under the grandparents' name, even though my in-laws lived there for 25 years and raised 4 children there, namely my fiance and his 3 sisters. 3 years ago, my father-in-law tragically and suddenly passed away. Without going into detail, it's important to note that my fiance's grandparents blame my mother-in-law for his passing, even though it's absolutely not her fault, and they have never forgiven her as a result. After my father-in-law passed away, it became clear that my mother-in-law would have to move out of the house since it wasn't in her name, and she ended up moving into another home that she and my father-in-law have been flipping before his death. Now, my fiance's grandparents have decided to sell the house and told their grandchildren, namely my fiance and his sisters, that the proceeds will be split equally amongst the 4 of them, and they stated specifically that the money was to go to them and not to their mother. Now, this inheritance would be absolutely life-changing for us. My fiance and I are working so hard to save for a house in one of the most expensive real estate markets. We're also planning our wedding and also trying to help with his sister's wedding expenses, as we are both in the bridal party. On top of that, my fiance has student loans to pay off. We are just starting out and we're trying to build a future in a very high cost of living city where every dollar counts. Meanwhile, my mother-in-law doesn't need this money. She and my father-in-law owned a property management company and have several rental properties and other assets that could easily be sold if she's in a financial need. And yet, when she found out about the inheritance, she guilted her kids, saying the money should belong to her and that each of them owes her at least 20% of their share, meaning that she would end up with hundreds of thousands of dollars. Well, here's where things went sideways. My fiance agrees with her. He feels responsible for helping his mom now that his dad is gone and insists that we should give her the money. I told him the inheritance is meant for us and that it's not hers to take, but he's adamant about helping her out. I then got upset and told him I don't think it's fair for her to guilt trip him like this when she knows we're trying to save for our future. Well, now he's saying that I'm the jerk for not wanting to help his mom and that I'm being selfish for prioritizing our goals over her well-being. I feel like I'm stuck in an impossible situation, but I just can't shake the frustration of seeing this money. It's meant for my fiance and his siblings, and it's going to someone who doesn't actually need it. So am I the jerk for getting upset at my fiance and not wanting to give part of his inheritance to his mom? Because right now, I don't know what to do. Okay, honestly, even though you do mean well and you're trying to like, I don't know, save up for your life and all that, I do think you're the jerk in this situation. Because honestly, this is not your money. Yes, it went to your fiance, but it's not yours. So for right now, he can do whatever he pleases with it. So yes, I do think you're the jerk here, and I think you might need to reel it in, because this money is for him to spend however he pleases. My entitled boss chews me and my team out for not having the best numbers in our previous month. So I decided to get some petty revenge by cheating to win at a chili cook-off that our company was holding, resulting in this guy losing in spectacular fashion. Here's what happened. So this was many years ago at a horrible call center job. The management was complete garbage at this place, especially one guy. He was my boss's boss. Every year, his greatest achievement was winning the chili cook-off. People hyped up his chili all year long. It was always a landslide, to the point where hardly anybody even bothered to enter. He had a slow cooking process, used actual marinated steak, and one of his secret ingredients was a dark beer. I mean, this was a really complicated process. The prize was even a $100 gift card to his favorite fancy restaurant as well. Now, just before the contest, he took my team aside and chewed all of us out about our numbers from the previous month, without even accounting for the fact that one of our senior team members was out for that entire month, all because of a death in the family. And it's like, okay, well, way to make the rest of us feel like garbage and motivate us to work harder, you jerk. It's typical toxic middle management crap, and it was par for the course with this jerk. Well, this is when I decided to have some petty revenge. The day of the chili cook-off, I bought a big crock pot from home, and I went to a nearby popular fast food chain on my 15-minute break. I ordered 3 large chili chilies and I threw them in the crock pot. The only way I changed it was by adding the green onions and sour cream they gave you at the time as a garnish and mixing it up. Well, I brought it into the office and I set it up, and I won by a landslide. Within a few months, I got a better paying job and I moved on. But on my way out of that garbage job, I told him exactly how I won. And the look on his face was absolutely priceless, and I honestly treasure it to this day. Oh man, I love this. I love this so much. First of all, middle management can honestly be the worst. They're typically full of micromanagers unless they're actually cool. And if they're cool, then they're fantastic managers. They understand this is just a job and everybody gets along great. So while you did have to answer to him at work, I think it's absolutely hilarious where you hit him exactly where it hurts. And the fact that you told him how you won before leaving, in my opinion, is just icing on the cake. An entitled Karen cuts the line at a bakery, literally cutting in front of dozens of people just to be first. So I decided to get some petty revenge by sabotaging her order in a way that made her wait longer than she anticipated. And it honestly felt so good to get back at her. Here's what happened. So a few weeks ago, I was at my go-to bakery that always has a long line on the weekends. Now, I had already been standing there for about 15 minutes when this woman, who is your classic Karen, just walks right up to the counter like she owns the place. And yes, she just totally ignored everybody else in line. Someone behind me tried to say something like, there's a line, but this Karen fires back and says, well, I'm in a hurry, and then acts like that's somehow okay. Well, the staff didn't want to argue, so they just took her order first. Now, I was mad, but I decided to keep my mouth shut for now. Then I noticed what she ordered, a large iced coffee with extra whipped cream, and that's when I got an idea. When it was finally my turn, I ordered the exact same thing, but asked them to hold it for just a second. As the Karen strutted out with her drink, I casually walked back to the counter and was like, hey, I think she grabbed my coffee by accident. And I said it loud enough for everybody to hear. The staff then got all apologetic, and the Karen had to come back inside with a smug look on her face, looking not so smug anymore. She then had to wait for them to remake her drink while I left sipping mine and smiling like an idiot. And sure, it was definitely petty, but I think that it was absolutely worth it. Oh my gosh, if I actually saw that in person, I would lose my mind. I'm pretty sure I would walk out of that coffee shop and be like, oh, I'm never coming back to this crap. Seriously, the fact that they're like, oh, we don't want to argue with you, so we're just gonna take your order. Like, are you kidding me right now? This is why people act this way. This is why we have Karens in the first place. If the person at that front counter just grew a backbone and was like, oh no, that's not happening, then all of this could have been avoided. Like, if I was in line and I watched this lady strut to the front and be like, I'm in a hurry, sorry, I'm not gonna wait on the line, I would be a very unhappy camper, especially at a place that's obviously very busy. So honestly, with all things considered, I love the petty revenge he threw her way, because this Karen's attitude deserved to be punished. Am I overreacting? After my boyfriend asked me to give back a white elephant gift that we stole at a party, because right now one of his coworkers is furious with us, and at this point I don't know what to do. Here's what happened. So yesterday, my boyfriend and I went to his work's Christmas party. We went bowling and played white elephant that had a $25 limit. The way they played was everybody drew numbers to determine the order of who was choosing gifts. Then, after everybody opened one, they went backwards through the numbers to get the chance to either keep the gift you opened or steal one from someone else. Now, my boyfriend brought a gift and I didn't, so I wasn't really planning on participating in the white elephant. When it gets to my boyfriend's turn, he chooses a gift. When he opened it, it was obviously pretty low effort. It had a beer from their work and a gram of the herb, if you know what I mean, which, by the way, it's completely legal in our state. Now, one of the presents his coworker opened was an anime sweater and a bunch of lottery tickets. I mentioned I liked the sweater, and when it came to his turn to steal, he took it so that he could have the lottery tickets and said out loud in front of everybody, my girl likes the sweater, so that's going to her. Well, the other lady he stole from ended up with the beer and the herb, and she was obviously very upset at the end of the game and was ranting to their managers about how stupid the gift she ended up with was and how they should tell the person who brought it they shouldn't have even participated. Well, now today is the day after the party, and my boyfriend just messaged me while he's at work that apparently the girl told him that he was on her crap list, and he asked if he could just give her the sweater since she was so upset about it. He even offered to buy me a new sweater if I gave her that one, but I think she's honestly acting like a brat, and he's rewarding bratty behavior. I also feel like, considering what he said when he took the gift, that it makes it look like he cares more about this girl at work's feelings more than mine. So am I overreacting by being weirded out by this? Because right now I really don't know what to do. Okay, this coworker is so weird. They are clearly not mature enough to participate in this gift exchange, because that's just how the white elephant gift exchange goes. Like, seriously, did she not know what she was getting into? She obviously did if she was participating. So in my opinion, I think your boyfriend would be an idiot to give it back to that lady, especially if she's trying to be like, wow, you're on my crap list. It's like, okay, what kind of list is that? Should I talk to HR? Like, what is going on right now? How is this okay behavior? And sure, she got a crappy gift, but like, that's how it goes with these kind of things. You can either end up with something really fun or something really stupid. So no, you're not overreacting, and I think your boyfriend would be wise to ignore her and just be like, okay, it's not that big of a deal, because the way his coworker is acting, in my opinion, is a complete overreaction. Am I the jerk after I refused to give my sister the gift that she opened at Christmas that was definitely meant for my mother? Because she's been acting incredibly weird lately, and I honestly don't know what to do. Here's what happened. Okay, so this Christmas, we all went to my parents' house. My sister came with her husband, and they have 2 kids who I love and spoil rotten. My mother asked for a heated blanket this Christmas, and because it's always very complicated to buy shared gifts, I told my sister and father I was buying one for her. When we started opening presents, I realized that my sister and her husband had opened the blanket. They looked at the label, and sure enough, that's exactly what they did. They finally gave the blanket to my mom, and we opened the rest of the presents. Afterwards, my sister kept saying how she was sad that the heated blanket wasn't for her, and then was looking to see my reaction. Now, the thing is, 2 years ago, she kept complaining that she was freezing and wanted a heated blanket for Christmas. So I bought her a heated blanket, and a few weeks later, she said she wasn't cold anymore and wanted me to give her a specific shirt instead. Well, I tried to keep the peace and return the blanket, and I gave her the shirt for her birthday. Now, back to Christmas, and my mom let my sister use her new blanket, and every time she would see me, she would go on and on about how she loved it and how she wished that she had one. Then, my mother said that she should ask me one for her birthday. Now, I kept my mouth shut the first few times, but then said, "You are not getting another blanket from me." Now, at that point, they said she had just made a mistake not keeping the gift. They were even saying to me, "Oh, come on, just give it to her," stating that she opened it by mistake and that she was all excited. Now, I was more than a little bit annoyed, and I just straight up said, "Well, you had your chance, and I gave you a heated blanket like you wanted, and then you didn't want it anymore. So if you want one, then buy it yourself or ask someone else," because I learned my lesson. Now, I really thought this was all over, but a few days ago, my mother told me she was looking for a heated blanket for my sister since I apparently wasn't buying her one. But I said, "Well, that's right, but also please stop talking about it." At this point, I may be the jerk because I'm keeping a grudge and my sister wants the gift that she opened by mistake. On the other hand, what's really keeping me from giving it to her is that I don't think she is grateful, and it is very possible that she would once again change her mind if I give in. So am I the jerk in this situation? Because right now I'm incredibly frustrated. No, you're not the jerk at all. Your sister's being super weird. First of all, if she really wanted to be like, "Oh wow, I'm not cold anymore, I don't want a heated blanket, get me a shirt instead," I would have shut her down and been like, "I'm not buying you a different gift." Because honestly, it seems like she's only doing this to try and like get under your skin and control and manipulate you. This is weird behavior, by the way. This is not normal. And I'm not entirely convinced that she opened that gift by mistake. She knew it was a heated blanket and she opened it on purpose, in my opinion. All under the assumption of, well, maybe you'll just give it to me for free. Maybe I can take this gift and have it for myself. So in my opinion, I think you're completely justified by being frustrated by your sister because her behavior, in my opinion, is incredibly weird. Am I the jerk for refusing to watch my neighbor's kid before school? All because the mom kept nagging me about how I was handling her daughter. Because at this point, I'm honestly annoyed and I don't know what to do. Here's what happened. So I'm a 35-year-old female and I'm a stay-at-home mom with 2 kids. I have a son by the name of John who's 10 years old and a daughter who we will call Ava that's 8 years old. My neighbor, who we will call Zoe, is 42 years old and she works full-time and asked me at the beginning of the school year if she could drop her daughter off, who we will call Sue, an hour before school started twice a week. Now, Sue is 9 years old and I agreed and was happy to help out a neighbor. However, things got bad pretty quickly. My kids do not get along well with Sue and they see entertaining her as a chore. Both of my kids enjoy sports, arts, and playing outside, while Sue is glued on her phone. Despite this, Sue pouts when my kids do their own thing instead of trying to engage with her. Well, Zoe called me a few weeks into the school year to nag me for having the kids walk or bike to school, saying it was unsafe and asking me to drive Sue. Well, when she said this, I told her no. If Sue was old enough to have a phone, then she was old enough to walk or bike to school. A week later, she asked me to cook real sausage for Sue, in addition to the veggie sausage that I make for my kids. Because for reference, my husband and I don't eat meat. But again, I told her no. Sue could eat what I cook, but if she wanted something specific, then she would have to prepare it for herself. For the first semester of school, Zoe nagged me with similar requests. She didn't want me to play songs with explicit lyrics. She didn't want to let multiple kids on the trampoline simultaneously. She wanted me to watch the kids when they're outside, etc. and so on. When I refused, she was respectful and would be like, "Well, sorry to bother you," but she still had new requests tests every week. At the end of the semester, I told her I was not going to make adjustments to our family lifestyle and inconvenience my family for the sake of her child. Sue's safety was not at risk. If she was unsatisfied with Sue's situation, there were plenty of other people in the neighborhood who could watch her. Zoe seemed really receptive, and I was hopeful that would be the end of her nagging. Well, when my kids got home on December 20th, I asked, well, are you excited for 2.5 weeks of no school? And my son John responded by saying, I'm more excited for 2.5 weeks with no Sue. Ava even nodded and giggled along, and it broke my heart to know that they were more happy to get a break from Sue than school. Just a couple of days ago, Zoe reached out to me, thanking me for agreeing to watch Sue and asking if I could watch her a couple of afternoons a week in addition so that Zoe could have some me time. I told her this would no longer work as our kids did not mesh well and I didn't want to deal with more inappropriate demands. I thought Zoe might be mad, but instead she begged me to watch Sue at least one morning a week. She apologized profusely and said I could parent however I wanted to. This made me feel bad because she genuinely needed my help and did not know what she would do. But I told her I knew I could and that her apology was too little too late. Now, my husband and the kids stand by my decision, but some of the other moms think that I should have been more accommodating, saying that I'm selfish, that moms help moms, and that I'll never know when I might need help. So am I at fault here? What should I do? No, you're not at fault here. This is so stupid. Zoe clearly is like a micromanaging parent, and she's trying to dictate what you can and can't do at that house. And if she really is having these many problems with her kid being over at your house, then maybe take your kid somewhere else. Go over to one of those parents trying to virtue signal towards the original poster. Like if they really are so high and mighty and trying to act like, oh, we've got to help each other out, then they can pony up and start watching Sue instead of you. So no, you're not the jerk here. This is honestly so weird. And I think if I was in your shoes, I would have cut off this arrangement a lot sooner. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications. To finish listening to all the stories, check out the playlist at the top of the description. And if you want some chill music to put on in the background, check out easymode.com. If you like Am I the Jerk, subscribe to Am I the Genius. Everything will be linked down below in the description.